Imagine, I got another 30-round clip. Y'all strap in. We got some scripture we gotta go. We're gonna have to go into the word definition. We're gonna have to go into the Hebrew. We're gonna go mathematically. We're gonna go scientifically. We're gonna go geographically. We're gonna go prophetically. And we're gonna go scripturally. And we're gonna kill it. Now,
Do you know the U.S. Solar Company's nasty little secret? It turns out
peace and blessings. Everybody has to die. And all the firstborn of cattle. Imagine that. What did the cattle do wrong? You have to ask yourself, why did he kill the firstborn of the cattle? He slaughtered all the humans. Okay, we can understand that. The Egyptians wouldn't let the children of Israel go. But why did the cattle have to die? Because God does not play any games. God is when he goes on a slaughtering spree, he's killing everything. He doesn't play any games. Psalm 78. Which is headed by Satan or the Beelzebub, and he's controlling the right-hand side, which is headed by Yahushua, or what we call Jesus Christ. God is in the middle. God controls both sides. He sent the evil angels to go out and do his work. So when it says that God killed the firstborn of Egypt, or when God does any of the killing, God is not the one who comes down and does it himself. He sends the evil angels to go and do his bidding. 1 Samuel 16 and verse 14. But the spirit of the
Now, y'all strap in. We got some scripture we got to go through. And so we're going to read this second Enoch Hebrew. We're going to start at chapter 24. We're going to read 1 through 5. Let's see. We're going to do the 1 to 4 8. Restart there, and then you flip over. You know how to jump. Bang. There you go. There you go. I'm ready, Hebrew.
About the great secrets of Elohim, which Elohim revealed and related to Enoch.
Mm-hmm.
And he spoke with him face to face. Word. And Yahweh called me, and he placed me to the left of himself, closer than Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
And I did obeisance to Yahweh.
Disclaimer under Title 17 USC,
Whatever you see, Enoch,
Section 107.
standing still and moving about, and which were brought to perfection by me, I myself will explain.
So you said, look, man, whatever you see, I'm going to explain it to you. Because everything that you see, I brought it forth. Now, I just read that Genesis 1. He didn't see that. And God created the heaven and earth, and he said, let there be light, right? He said, so I did all that. Go ahead.
Before anything existed at all, from the very beginning.
See, that's why I said, when's the beginning? When did it begin? Okay.
Whatever is, I created from non-being into being, and from the invisible things into the visible.
And then we just read that in Hebrew. We just read. I want that Bible to read. So, understand how he like that. What you read is Hebrew. He created things visible from things that was invisible. Things that we couldn't see, he made them visible for us. He was moving in everlasting. He was moving from millennium to millennium, day to day that we can't see. He was moving it. He called these things up. Go ahead, brother.
Not even to my angels have I explained my secrets, nor related to them their composition, nor my endless and inconceivable creation which I conceive.
Go ahead, brother.
As I am making them known to this day.
That's good point. You're 25. No, I'm on 20. You're in 25. No, you're in the right place. My bad, brother. Yeah, you got it. My bad.
Sorry.
There you go.
As I am making them known to you today, before any visible things had come into existence.
What?
And the light had not yet opened up. I, in the midst of the light, moved around in the invisible things.
In the what?
In the invisible things.
In the invisible thing. Now, well, that's a whole other lesson. But he said, I moved before the night. So, you keep hollering about the light, day. This guy was moving before he was there. Go ahead, read.
Like one of them, as the sun moves around from east to west, and from west to east. But the sun has rest, yet I do not find rest.
He did what? So if the sun ain't found no rest, we keep telling me, God, I'm working at night. God, I'm working at night. I keep hearing that. That's what you say, bro. if he stopped, the book say, we serve a God and can sleep no slumber. We serve a God that got the very universe in control. If he fell asleep on the throne, or he didn't work at night, a whole lot of stuff. If the angel if you want to give them direction to do it at night, the stars will fall out the sky. So, yeah, we children of the day, but we don't understand what that children of the day really mean. That's what you try to do. You don't understand it's free.
Because everything was not created. And I thought of the idea.
He didn't what?
I thought of the idea.
So he thought of the idea in invisibleness, or something that you can't see. But he all thought of. So you try to tell me I thought like that mode, I'm in the wrong? Go ahead.
I thought of the idea of establishing the foundation to make this.
To create a visible, it was already created. He just wanted to put something, make something for others. Now, let's go to the next place. Let me we're going right on into chapter 25. We're gonna read 1 through 5. We're gonna 25. And we're gonna skip over. Right there. Yep. In 2nd Enoch, chapter 25. You understand? We picking it up right here. Go ahead and read Hebrew.
Elohim explains to Enoch how the visible and the invisible come down from the very lowest darkness.
Wait a minute, come down from the what?
The very lowest.
Shut up, man. How the visible and the invisible come from a place that you can't see, but he called it dark. See, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. That's what Hebrews say, man. Stuff that you can see was created with things that you can't see. But he keep calling it dark. The very lowest dark means invisible, man. So stop with the play on the word. We're going to get into the word stuff. We're going to kill that too. Ain't going to be no breath left in it when we get them killing it. We're going to march something to death. We're going to pick it back up the side, make sure it ain't still alive. Then we're going to stomp on it again. What you ready for? Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
And I command the lowest thing. Let one of the visible things descend visible. And the door descended extremely large. And I looked at him, and behold, in his belly he had a great.
Oh, he had a great what?
A great light. And I said to him, disintegrate yourself, adore, and let what is born from you become visible.
Maybe this was the invention of the universe. Maybe. Because he said it was a big bang. But he said let it disintegrate. That which is in you, let it disintegrate or explode. But guess what?
And he disintegrated himself. And there came out a very great light.
I'm telling you, great light, man. But what did he do with that light? Go ahead.
And I was in the midst of the great light.
And I was in the midst of the great light.
And light out of light, he is carried thus.
Wait a minute. Light out of light. It's carried thus. Where was it carried to? Go ahead.
And the great age came out.
Oh, now time is starting. Because there was no time before. It was before the beginning. And he said a great age. We're going to look at the great age at the end of this lesson. They got started. We're going to look at it. Go ahead.
And it revealed all the creation which I had thought up to create.
Yes, sir.
And I saw how good it was. And I placed for myself a throne. And I sat down on it. And then to the light I spoke. Go up here.
Go ahead.
And the throne can be solidified much higher than the throne and become the foundation for the highest thing.
Yes, sir.
And there is nothing higher than the light. Except nothing itself.
Except what?
Except nothing.
Hold on, how you gonna have the light that's above the throne of God and get something above that and trade it in you? I'm trying to wrap my mind around this here. See, y'all want to go on this basic elementary stuff, man, about the word, and don't even know what the words mean. This is what I'm saying. We got to stop being elementary in our studies and get into this thing and go all the way, because we know it's 300,000 gates of knowledge, 300,000 gates of control, 300,000 gates of love. You trying to tell me you done obtained to the 300,000 gates? But shout out to the young lady too. They was kept on showing how the Most High just still sitting on the throne. He did. I'm gonna sit down. You got it. I'm on the throne, and the light is above. So this ain't the sun. Cause this light is above the throne. You say separate the water from the water. Okay, we ain't got that yet, but we get there. Go ahead.
And again, I bowed myself. And I looked up from my throne.
Oh, we going on. I tell you what, we going on there 26. Read 1 through 3. You got used to it. Right there with 26.
Elohim summons from the very lowest things the second time.
What?
The second time. So that Arcades, both heavy and red, should come out. Word.
So he back calling something that was invisible, calling it to the visible. I won't say calling it back to the visible, because it was never visible. So he called it from the invisible to the visible. Go ahead and read. We're going to see what this is. Now you keep on going, then after you leave down there. Now that's it on there. That's just verse 3. Yeah. Go ahead.
And I called out a second time into the very lowest things. And I said, let one of the invisible things come out visible.
Mm-hmm.
Solid.
Wait a minute. So now we got the heavens, the light above the heavens. Now we got something solid. I wonder what that is. Haaretz. The foundations of the earth. Well, we're going to read the meditations on the simple.
And Arcades came out solid and heavy. And very
what? Ain't ever come to the dirt? Ain't that Adam ain't got to do with the red dirt? Come on, man. This ain't hard. We ain't trying to make it hard on you. If you know the scripture, it makes perfect sense. But go ahead, man.
And I said, open yourself up, Arcades, and let what is born from you become visible.
Become what?
Become visible. And he disintegrated himself.
Yes, sir.
There came out in the 80s. Dark.
Oh, wait a minute. The earth without form and void. Now I know what this is now. They came out of the 80s, was what? Without form and void. Now it disintegrated itself. Now you got to form it up. Now you got to bring some light to it. It's red like the red earth. It's solid. It's dirt. Now we know what verse 1 through 3 talking about now, Hebrew. It ain't hard if you know the scripture. Go ahead and read.
There came out an age, dark, very long, carrying the creation of all things. And I saw how good it was. And I said to him, come down low and become solid.
And become what?
And become solid.
So God created the heavens and the earth. Go ahead.
And become the foundation of the lowest things. And it came about. And he came down and became solid.
Yes, sir.
And he became the foundation of the lowest thing. And there is nothing lower than the dark.
Except what?
Except nothing else.
Oh, yeah. So it's something darker than dark. And like I said before,
You committed your angels to worship that. But you first of all, the angels disobeyed your orders.
yeah, now we're going to read that over there in that story of Adam and Eve. See, this he talking about the one who was chief among them. I ain't talking about Satan. He disobeyed when Michael brought him to act like or seem like I'm operating as an Israelite. It's hard, but why did you do this to me? We gonna find out what it is. Get this shirt, get this shirt, get this shirt. Just pulled up. Going to the apocalypse with C-Drac. Y'all put a 7 up in the room. We got good vocational and audio. Put a 7 up in the room for your brothers. All right. Hallelujah. We going to C-Drac. We gonna read verses 1 through 7. We on page 16 in the pseudo volume of 1. Page 16, pseudo volume of 1. Let's see what our brother C-Drac. Because C-Drac was just like he had a little whole lot. But then we gonna hone in on something. Another shout out to my vein, the young lion, my son. Remember this right here. Because me and him was bouncing stuff back and forth. Right. So we finna read it. Go ahead, we started that one, bro.
C-Drac said to him, it was by your will that Adam was deceived by mouth. You commanded your angels to worship Adam. But he who was first among the angels disobeyed your order.
Yeah, now we're going to read that over there in that story of Adam and Eve. See, this he talking about the one who was chief among them. He ain't talking about Satan. Right. He disobeyed when Michael brought him to Adam to worship him, and Satan said he wasn't going to do it. Right. But go ahead and read.
And he did not worship him. So you banished him because he transgressed your commandments and did not come forth to worship the creation of your hand. If you love man,
if you love me, Lord,
why did you not kill the devil?
Why did you leave this joke over here to torment me? Right. If you love the creation of your hand, right. Man, tread lightly, brother.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read.
The artificial of all the niggas.
Yes, sir.
Who can fight against an invisible spirit?
Who can fight against an invisible spirit?
He enters the heart of men like it's smoke.
Wait a minute. He enters the heart, the mind, the lab of men like a smoke.
Yes, sir.
When you see the barbecue smoke, when you get a fire or whatever, you can't stop that smoke from going in your eyes, your nose, your mouth. And he said, man, Satan's so crafty. He the artificial, he the originator of all things. He enters man's mind like a smoke. Otherwise, because it works. The book say, man, how can you overthrow a house at first? Lies and strong. See, he done went in your mind, he done bind you up. Like, and he done entered you like a smoke, brothers and sisters. And you don't even, sometimes you don't even know he just snuck in your out. And he just walking around plants and teaching men what?
And teaches them all kinds of sin.
Yeah.
He even fight against you, the immortal God.
Right.
And so what can pitiful man do against him?
Right.
Yet have mercy, master, and destroy punishment. Otherwise receive me also with the sinner. For if you will not be merciful with sinners, where are your mercy and where is your compassion, O Lord?
Now, C-Drac is asking the Most High to destroy punishment. Why is C-Drac asking the Most High to destroy punishment? Because C-Drac said how he slipped back and forth in the sun. He said, man, ain't nowhere in the world I'm going to get punishment. So, Lord, destroy punishment. If you love us,
get rid of that so I don't have to deal with it. That's why I'm
exactly, brother. Romans said. So, C-Drac said, why did you kill Satan? If you ain't going to kill Satan, destroy punishment. What's that?
Man, why don't you just get rid of this joker? We ain't got to worry about this with all this food. So we got to, I don't say what y'all. I know I go back, every night.
And see, this is the thing, this is the battle, bro. Trying to stay in divine order or dealing with this Babylonian chaos.
Right.
Come on down to chapter 6. We're going to read chapter 6, man. We're going to read verse 1 through see what it says.
God said to him, Be it known to you that everything which I command man to do was within him.
So Everything I command you to do. No. Right. That's why I said, he said, everything I commanded man to do, it is within his reach. Brother, it's in your reach to love your wife as Christ loved the church. Come on now. Sister, it's in your reach to submit to your husband as you submit unto the Lord. Yes, sir. It's in your reach. But you make a conscious or unconscious decision not to. See, that's what I say. Stop it. Move. I don't want to hear no more pain. This is no power. You ain't on guard, you ain't on watch, and he will become like a smoke man. He caught you slipping again. See, if I go in the hood, you understand what I'm saying? You know the hood thing. Yes, and I'm walking down the street at night, I ain't got my head on the swivel, and I get caught slipping. Who fault is it? That's on you. It's on me. So don't come with no more excuses. Well, you know, this preacher, that young girl, man, she just did something to me. No, it was in your reach to not live with her. Sister, it was in your reach when your husband told you to zip your lip, you didn't want to. See, when you read these scriptures, all the foolishness go out the window. Brother, it's in your reach to get up off your ass and go to work every day and provide for your family. That's right. It's in your reach. He can make. What? Sure. Well, now. It ain't take care of that. Sure. Some of you jokers call yourself Hebrew Israelite, and the woman out working you while you at home playing PlayStation, and then when she comes to the door, you got your face and look like you've been reading all day. Playing. Sure. You ain't been reading your book all day. Well, right? It's in your reach, man. It may not be what you want to do, but it's some work out there. I don't hear that. See, scriptures like that, the Lord told you everything I told you to do, commanded you to do. It was in your reach to do. You chose not to do it. That's right. Continue to read, my brother. Right. Woo.
I made him wise and heirs of heaven and earth.
Yes, sir.
And I subordinated everything under him, and every living thing flees from him and from his face.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, from his face. Having received my gifts.
Having received my what?
Gifts.
Go ahead.
However, he became an alien.
And a what?
And an adulterate sinner.
See?
Tell me, what sort of a father would give an inheritance? And having received the money, the son goes away, leaving his father.
Yeah.
And become an alien in the service of aliens. Yeah. The father then, seeing that the son has forsaken him and gone away, darkened his heart and going away, he retrieves his wealth. Yes, sir. And banished his son from his glory.
Banish him, man. He said, man, your father in his right mind. Go give this brother an inheritance and knowing that you're going to go do with what you want and go dwell amongst sinners and adulterers or haters. What? God in his right mind, my brother, gonna bless a marriage that's full of Babylonian mindset.
Australian Air Force.
Okay, everyone, we're back, and so we were discussing the Anunnaki, and James, can you elaborate on the possibility that there are more than one ET race, for example, another race other than the Anunnaki? Can you expand on that?
Yes. It's been postulated by some that there may be more than just the Anunnaki. There may be another ET race or two on one or more of the planets of the Nibiru system. I don't really know much more than that. It's just something that I've heard. It does sound possible. And we must remember that the Anunnaki not only warred at times with other ET races, and then oftentimes used Earth humans and armies of Earth humans in the various areas of Earth that they control as proxies vis-a-vis, their enemies, but they also warred amongst themselves too. That what we see on Earth, this notion of this patriarchal, dynastic, hereditary rulership, where the firstborn son of the first wife is the heir whenever the ruling monarch dies or is supplanted for whatever reason. The firstborn son is usually the heir apparent. Well, that seems to be the case with the Anunnaki, because they were forever warring against one another. There were two clans, and those that are familiar with the lore, the Enkis, so-called the Enkyites, and then the Enlilites. There were two, I think they were half-brothers or brothers, I can't remember exactly, but they each had their own dynastic line of those they begat beneath them, and they would war against one another. And one of the most fascinating stories that I've read is what's been described as the Second Pyramid War, where Inanna was an Earthborn Anunnaki. She wasn't born on Nibiru. She wasn't born in space. She was born here. And her lover was an Anunnaki named Dumuzi, according to the ancient texts. And long story short, Dumuzi wound up getting killed, and Inanna blamed Marduk, who was the son of Enki. Marduk has been identified as Ra in the Egyptian cosmology, in the Egyptian goddess pantheon. Very interesting that the alien in the original Stargate movie was Ra Marduk. And so Inanna, enraged because her lover Dumuzi was killed, and it's possible through Dumuzi she was hoping to beget a male heir. And now that's out the window because Dumuzi is dead, and so she wages war against Marduk, and at one point overcomes Marduk and his forces, imprisons him in the Great Pyramid, wants to keep him in there, basically starve him to death, until the Anunnaki pantheon intercede, and they decide to just to rescue Marduk and then exile him, right? Get him out of the area he controlled, which is modern-day Egypt. And the Inanna Marduk story, saga, is just one example of these Anunnaki warring against each other. As events unfolded according to the text, I think it's the Enuma Elish also, the Babylonian epic, Inanna was also given the Indus Valley, what we would now call the Indus Valley in India, the subcontinent, and she created apparently a whole civilization there, which lasted for some length of time, maybe 1,000 years, and then it disappeared. And there is evidence of nuclear war having taken place in the Indus Valley. There are areas of the subcontinent in India where the sand has been vitrified, turned to glass, which some suggest is the byproduct of nuclear weapons. Yeah, nuclear war, as was the case with the Trinity site, which is, overall scheme of things, was a low-yield plutonium device, about 18 kilotons thereabouts, in the Alamogordo, near Alamogordo, New Mexico. That vitrified the sand there, turned it into like glass. And so there are places in the world, I think the Sinai Peninsula is another place, and according to the ancient text, these weapons were also unleashed in the Middle East. And so we have physical proof of that in the vitrification of the sand and in deposits, beneath the surface. So we have corroborating physical evidence in the form of the byproducts of weapons of mass destruction unleashed. So the point of relevance is if these Anunnaki feel inclined to renew or start up all these wars again because perhaps they haven't evolved much since the last time they were here, well, that's another issue. That's something else that we have to take into account because in a very real sense, these Anunnaki regard humans as their property, as their genetic creations, if you will. I don't really know the command structure and or the relationship between the Anunnaki and the apparent ruling reptilian hybrid human elite here on the planet that is running the underground bases as well as the surface. I don't know what, if any, connection the two have. There may be some connection, some affiliation. They may be antagonists for all I know, right? That's one of the things we have to find out. So I just thought I'd throw that out there also, that these Anunnaki, they managed to bequeath a lot of their more onerous attributes to their genetic progeny of greed, of rapaciousness, of warlike tendencies. And hopefully some of them, and I think some of them have, I like to think some of them have spiritually evolved to the point where they are beginning to have second misgivings and then starting to second guess whatever the Anunnaki agenda is, right? And there's another factor that must be taken into account. I recommend your listeners check out Wes Penry's, I don't know if that's how you pronounce his last name, Wes Penra, E-N-R-E. He has a marvelous website called wespenra.com, and he's done a tremendous amount of research about the Anunnaki, all the different ET races and interactions with humanity. You don't have to take it all on board. Go by what feels right to you. And go where spirit moves you when you navigate through his humongous website. But he goes into a lot of this, the motivations, and what's interesting also is he provides a lot of convincing data which shows that these Anunnaki were worshipped as gods all over the world and adopted a number of different names and guises, but they were all the same Anunnaki. They're all the same ETs. Like example we mentioned earlier, Marduk was Ra, Thoth was Ningasida, who was, I believe, one of the descendants of Enki. He also makes a very interesting point, which I kind of resonate with. He says that we've been led to believe that Enki is the good guy in all this, that he is our father, so to speak, that he and his I think half-sister, I think her name was Ninmah. There's so many of them, I forget their names. She was a geneticist, and then they created... Ninhursag, and created, the Adamu and then the female counterparts. And that, in effect, he's our creator God. And like I pointed out earlier, not according to the Aborigines, not according to the Native Americans. They say we got here a long time before that. Aboriginal elders say we've been here for 1 million years, right?
That is a great point. That is a great point to point out the different cultures' story of origins and how biased it is with this particular Sumerian Babylonian
Yes, and there's biases within biases. For example, we've really only got Enki's side of the story. I mean, there's Enki, the Lost Book of Enki, which is basically Enki telling his scribe who he abducted in the beginning of the book. It describes an alien abduction where the scribe is just walking along this field somewhere, and next thing you know, a UFO comes along, abducts him, and takes him over to Enki. And of course, Enki is a god, a lord, right? Lord is he who must be obeyed and worshipped, right? Yeah. And look how that term has been passed on, down throughout the ages. Yep. And so Wes Penry makes a very good point that what if it's the other way around? What if Enlil and the Enlilites were the ones that if we had all the available data and the benefit of hindsight, and if we were to objectively look at all the available data, maybe some of us would come to that conclusion independently. Yeah, you know what? Based on what information we have, and there's been so much of it's been lost or destroyed or deliberately misrepresented, maybe Enlil, in our limited understanding in terms of good, bad, polarity, etc., maybe he's really the good guy in this saga, in this epic saga, in this, psychodrama that's going on. Maybe the Enkyites are not the good ones. You know what I mean? So that adds a whole nother twist to the story of Inanna battling Marduk, who was the son of Enki, and on and on and on. Maybe Enlil had a good reason to wipe out the at least, of course, I hate to use the term collateral damage, but by wiping out the creations of Enki and Ninhursag, I'm sure that had a collateral damage effect to a lot of other people who were brought here by other ET races of animals and life forms, etc., etc. That much being said, maybe there was something about these genetic constructs that Enki and Ninhursag created that Enlil thought was completely over the top. Maybe these creatures or beings were so over the top evil that he felt they didn't belong here. I mean, that's an interesting twist on the story.
Yep.
I mean, that's just me. That's just my twist. I'm not saying Wes Penrith came up with that idea as far as, the justification or rationale why Enlil would want to wipe out the creations. And what's interesting, the creations of Enki, but what's interesting also is the Noah archetype, i.e. the hybridized half human, half god / Anunnaki, if you will, archetype, who was told by the god or gods, okay, a great aliens, we're giving you a heads up, you're going to have to, and the stories vary, get to a mountaintop, build yourself a ark, whatever the case may be. That story is consistent in many parts of the world. In Polynesia, we have similar stories where the god tells the Noah archetype by whatever name that culture calls right? Just, again, the patriarchy. Okay, there's going to be this, deluge and all this other stuff going to happen. Build yourself a big boat, etc., etc. It's a very common story all around the world, and also the stories of the Native Americans, the Choctaw, the Cherokee, how they traveled large distances. They fled underground. The Hopi talk about the Sipapuni, the Sipapu, the hole back to the inner earth. And then some of these tribes had traveled a tremendous distance underground, and then either by internal intuitive guidance or whatever higher dimensional guidance or ET guidance that they were receiving at the time, they decided to pop up onto the surface through an inner earth entrance, pop up onto the surface and begin civilization anew. That's another very common story. But a lot of these people who dismiss out of hand these uniformitarianists that hold that the Earth stays the same for a long, long period of time, measured in billions of years, nothing ever changes, when it's actually the opposite. And it's not only in the geological record and the mass extinction fossil record, but it's also in the lore of all these different cultures, where a lot of them either survived by being on mountaintops, or they, often as not, they went underground, and then they surfaced after a long travel underground, surfaced elsewhere and began civilization anew, right? So,
James, I just want to interject here and get back to something that you were talking about before, if I may.
Yeah, sure.
In reference to Enlil, Enki, and Inanna, there is a book that was put out by B.F. Ferguson, and it's called Inanna Returns.
Yes.
Yes, and that is Inanna's story. She tells the story herself of exactly what happened and how destructive the patriarchy was and her role, and how she was, surprise, vilified, right, in all of the stories that were handed down. But when I read that book, I resonated completely with it being as a truth. I'm not saying that this is some, a story or anything that I follow along, but her telling the story was so visceral. It was so real. You can literally feel it. If you're empathic, you can feel it. And this was the truth as far as she's concerned. And Inanna Returns is the name of the book, and it describes the story of everything that happened in that era, according to Inanna herself.
Yeah.
Which is the only perspective where this person, this character in the history, Inanna, is speaking for herself.
Yes. I'm aware of that book. I began to read it, and it sounds very interesting. And I'm intuitively guided to check it out, right? And what's interesting is, if memory serves, does she describe herself as originally coming from Pleiades in that book?
Yes, they do. The whole family comes from there, and that they were supreme geneticists, and they did look reptilian. They can make themselves look absolutely human, as some of the best and most beautiful specimens of humans you can think of, or they can maintain their reptilian appearance. It's a matter of choice. Yeah.
Yes. And it should be pointed out that this concept of, because before the most recent spate of celestially driven cataclysms, give or take 11,000, 12,000 years ago, plus or minus a couple thousand years, because these cataclysms lasted for a long time, a lot of the advanced civilizations before that were matriarchal, and certainly a lot of the, in fact, most of the indigenous cultures were matriarchal. They worshiped the divine feminine, the divine mother goddess, etc., etc. All that was eradicated. A lot of it was as a result of the celestially driven cataclysms, or as what's hinted at in some of the Anunnaki texts, the deliberate intervention by the Anunnaki, like Enlil, for example, to flood out humanity, right? And then afterwards, because there was only vestiges of surviving humanity that surfaced, there was far fewer of them to have to deal with. It was easier to genetically manipulate them. It was easier to foist patriarchal religions upon them by the astronomer priest hybrid ruling elite that was installed. Now, you make a very good point about Inanna Returns, right? Because Wes Penra talks about, and I believe that I haven't read all the books of Sitchin like you have, which to me is astonishing, because the books are so dense. It's like, it's like my head just like spins around and swivel when I try to read a chapter of this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you managed to read all of them, right? Which I give you credit for that. Yeah. And if memory serves, when Wes Penra says that, according to his interpretation of all the different information he's collated, he says that Nibiru, and I have reason to believe this too, Nibiru may have come from another star system. He feels it may have come from Sirius, if memory serves, because I've kind of bounced around his gigantic website, all the different subpages and all the different levels of learning. I'm only going by memory. If memory serves, he talked about how it came initially from Sirius. Now, Inanna is saying, according to the book that you've cited, is saying that they came from the Pleiades. Now, what's interesting is Barbara Marciniak also talks about, via the information she's getting from her Palladian group, that the Palladians also had a lot of karma they had to discharge. The things that they did from our perspective would be the distant past, has so radically messed up the timeline and so radically messed up things on Earth that from their future perspective, they're trying to rectify things. And again, it speaks to this ongoing effort to fix timelines, but I've intuitively been told and downloads I've received that yes, the timelines have been messed up. They've got to be fixed. And what's interesting too, and this is a whole other story, and a whole other topic of discussion, but there's something called the Mandela effect, and I think there's something to this, where a lot of people here on the surface, we have clear, distinct memories of certain things that have occurred, which thousands, if not countless people were aware of and consciously aware of and remembered at the time. But now, fast forward X number of years, there's like no record of any of these things ever happening, even though it's in our conscious memory, right? That happened to me. It's happened to other people.
Me too, exactly.
There's well-known movie actors and actresses that we were told passed away, but they're still around, right? Now, some of it may be due to a hoax, like the Challenger hoax, like, the space shuttle that supposedly blew up, and now they're finding evidence that these people, these astronauts are still working and they're still alive, and they look the same, they just look older than they did. But is that a result of this timeline manipulation? Who knows, right? Or cloning, because this stuff delves into all these different aspects. But cycling back to Wes Penra, I
want to say something about that too when you.
Yeah. Just hold that thought. I'll just for once, I'll try to get this in 20 words or less. The notion that Nibiru actually came from another star system, which is backed up in a way by the Inanna Speaks book, I think there's something to that. And I would go further to say it's quite possible Nibiru itself is an artificial construct. It's actually a huge craft. And again, there's 4 different levels of civilization as described by Kardashev. He's this researcher. He talks about level 1 alien civilizations which have learned to harness the resources of the planet they're on and can even manipulate the planet itself via weather weaponry, seismic weaponry, so on and so forth. There's the second level of advanced kind of civilizations which can harness the power of the sun and colonize nearby star systems. A third level of civilizations which can harness and control the power of an entire galaxy, okay? And maybe even levels above that, like a 4th level, I think he talks about, which is, they're into hyperspace, hyperdimensionality and whatnot. So and also keeping in mind I think I've exceeded 20 words, but I'll wrap it up. Keeping in mind the imagery from the Soho satellite of these gigantic planet-sized or bigger craft, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that Nibiru itself is a craft. And further, that because of its ability, if it's utilizing a field propulsion system, artificial gravity, whatever the case may be, when it powers up, it will distort the time and space around it, which could explain in part why these remote viewers that I know, that I consider to be world-class remote viewers, right, have said that when they scan this thing, sometimes it's in our dimension, in our solar system, and sometimes it's not. So anyway, take it away.
Wow.
Where do you keep all of that?
I know, right?
James? Where's the storehouse? Because I'm not seeing
amazing. Yeah, amazing.
That's just incredible. Okay, before I lose my train of thought, getting back to what you were saying, there were a couple of points. Inanna Returns is a story of what happened with human history according to her perspective, and that is the only perspective coming from her that I am aware of. And like I said, it resonated with me. In her perspective, she explains why, I forget who this one was, the Anlil or Anki, one of her brothers, because she's the sister and they're brothers and sisters, but the one that hated humanity, the one that is causing all the problems here, I think he is called Marduk. I get all the names confused, by God, it's been more than 20 years. But the one that she locked in the pyramid?
Marduk. Yeah, Marduk.
Okay, Marduk. That's where patriarchy began, because he hated her so much, and he vowed revenge, and her mistake was not letting him die in that pyramid, okay? She let him out.
Finished him off. She should have finished him off.
She should have finished him off, but she let him out. Yeah. It's that stupid woman's compassion again, all right?
Yeah.
Gets her in trouble every time. So this is what happened. So he just was angry. He was completely psychopathic, and to this day, he's sitting in ships because they have this immortality capability, where they punch all of these buttons and things, and they control every single person on the planet. This is discussed in her second book, Hyperluminal, by B.S. Ferguson.
Read that also.
It's fascinating, and yes, she says that they do come in, the Palladians. They messed with humanity so much that they felt remorse. They felt that they needed to make amends. They were forced into a council. I forget what the council is called, but there is an interstellar cosmic council that they were forced to be part of and forced to make amends with what they have done with the human race. And so she got very clear about the mistakes that they made, and she did her amends, and she wanted to fix everything, and one of the things that they started to do was reincarnate as human beings to experience themselves what human beings experience. And that's what they've been doing all this time. They had to become part of the experience to understand what they were doing. And that's talked about in her second book. So that's Inanna and Inanna Returns. Now, Wes Penray, I've been to his site, the Wes Penray Papers, I think it's called. And years back, he was really getting into all of these stories. not just the Sumerian texts, but all of the other creational theories, and he was trying to piece them together. I mean, that is a colossal effort, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's incredible. So he was going by a lot of the information that has been put out there, for decades by untold so-called quote-unquote authorities, right?
Yes.
But I found it very patriarchal and bent to all of the stories that men have been telling over the years. And in every case, the woman was just this second-rate, third-class creature, and I couldn't take it. Now, kudos to Wes Penray. Kudos to him that I went back to his site to investigate last year, and he has since changed his story because he has been consistently gathering all the information he possibly could, and he is a good researcher. So he has come across information and enough valid information that has brought him to the point where he understands how patriarchy was created and that it was created as a hatred of the mother. He got his information together. He's included what patriarchy has done and has been done. I don't know why people don't talk about it. It's such a huge picture in the whole thing. I mean, it's the very foundation and basis of everything that is happening on this planet is patriarchal, male domination, control, and destruction.
It is.
Okay.
Because if we're
Wes Penray has corrected himself.
Yes.
And he has included the story of what's happened, why it's happened, the queens who have been horribly vilified, degraded, and all of these other things. He explains that. So he gets into that, and he explains why patriarchy exists, and that the queens are the ones who have been wanting to restore life to its original pristine nature, and they have not been allowed to. And he's got all of this added information. So that's the impression I get from his site and where he's at now. So at least he's got a more complete picture of what's happened, not just that one-sided nonsense.
Yes. And like I said at the outset, and when I brought up Wes Penray, it's like people have to make up their own mind. They have to, frankly, I don't have the time to read every single one of his articles. There'll be a voluminous amount of information.
It's massive.
And so all I do is I go where Spirit guides me. I don't take everything he says on board. I go with my own, intuition and innate guidance. But I do believe that even the stuff that I may not agree with, which he has put out, still can guide me to where I need to go, or guide me to the information or understanding which I need to have at any given moment. So I'm thankful for that. And what we've seen also is in this harsh patriarchy that has been unleashed and is getting knocked back. I'm glad to say it's just going to be a process. What they've done is they've taken all of these symbols and images and iconography of female deities and completely perverted and distorted them, and made them all out to be inherently satanic and evil. And a lot of that has to do with the church and whatnot. And so I'm glad that he's going in that direction, because
so am I. Because
someone needs to, because the patriarchy removes us from source. It detaches us and blocks us from source, and it blocks us from our own innate power. Telepathy, astral abilities, remote viewing, all those are inherently right brain, right hemisphere, divine source attributes.
Exactly. Correct.
Then they shunt us into the left brain, the logic side, and they fill our brains with nonsense, indoctrination, dogmas, you see. And then there's laws, scribes, rulers to enforce those dogmas. That's how it works. And it basically enmeshes us in this simulation matrix and cuts us further off from source. So
it just makes us stupid.
It makes us stupid in so many words.
Yes.
But what? Yes. Thank you for bringing up Inanna, because we see this in other things too, like how the Talmudic scholars created this demoness deity called Lilith, where you take the base model of this divine feminine mother goddess archetype, and then these Talmudic scholars, they're just women-hating misogynists anyway, they create this entity, this demoness entity called Lilith. And what's interesting is Lilith has actually indwelled and come through people I know, people highly gifted, intuitive, galactic human types, women. And it's interesting what Lilith has told them. And Lilith has spoken through them. And what's interesting is what she said. She's tired of being vilified. She's tired of being demonized. She's tired of being made the scapegoat and the villain and everything, right? They've taken her name and they've spun it all around. And she's quite pissed off, frankly. And she wants kind of, well, there's an aspect of her that wants revenge, and I can understand that. You know what I mean?
But she's powerful. But
she's powerful.
I want to say something. I have received a direct healing from Lilith herself.
Wow. Yes.
So I do not tolerate people in my presence or in my company vilifying her. But please continue.
Yes, and we've seen the same thing with Callie, where there's a dual aspect to it. There's destruction, there's creation, there's the end of cycles and the beginning of cycles, and we've already talked about the end of the fourth world and the Hopis' visions of the beginning of the fifth world, and that can, from their standpoint, their perspective, it can only come about by an end and a destruction and an unraveling of the old world. So there's aspects to Callie that embody that, but all these fundies, these fundamentalists of one stripe or another, see is, oh look, she's got blood dripping from her mouth. She's multi-armed.
You know whose blood that is? I'm going to tell you right now, and I want to make this clear to anybody who understands who Kali is. Kali, and people just need to read one sentence in the Hindu tradition from the Hindus themselves through the pantheon to which she belongs, is that Kali is the destroyer of destroyers.
Yes.
She only destroys the destroyers. That's the blood that she's got dripping from her. Is she is killing those who vilify life, who take life, who destroy life, those who are greedy, corrupt, murderers. Those are the ones she destroys. That's who Kali is.
Yes.
I hope that is made clear. It's plain and simple.
Yes.
That's who she destroys.
And what's interesting is in some traditions, Kali is identified with Ananda, right? So that's interesting that there's this female archetype, but it was probably more than just an archetype. That was actually a being, a super being that was female, that basically meted out vengeance and destruction upon what she perceived to be evil, negative, patriarchal beings. Right?
Yes, and this is why Inanna had problems with Marduk. That's precisely why.
Yes, and actually, quite frankly, I mean, someone accused me of playing the duality game. Oh, James, you're just so embedded in these dualities and polarities. But you know what? We need that. We need these women out there with ass-kicker personalities, and we need these highly evolved beings out there, well, like yourself, basically. Because from my perspective, the women have always been the pioneers in the UFO field. As far as alien abductions are concerned, as far as the hardcore MyLab research is concerned, and even in the surface level activism, truth movements, women have always been at the forefront, even though they suffer far more slings and arrows than their male counterparts. The males don't have to deal with, well, some of them do, but not to the degree that women do, of all these psychopathic reptile trolls that harass them and then send them these vile, venomous private messages on Facebook, which cannot be blocked. All right, that's just how it works. And also this unleashing of all these. People forget about all these titles and these labels. Oh, that's divide and conquer. You just don't like all these immigrants, these Muslims, and these North Africans and these Africans coming in. Forget the titles. They're raping, pedophile, misogynists who are demon-infested, entity-infested warriors. They've been unleashed. No different than the Soviet Red Army that went on a rape rampage through Central and Western, Eastern Europe when Eisenhower stood down the Western armies and allowed the Russians to take over, the Soviets actually. No different than the rape of Nanking, the Japanese army in 1937. No different than the Ottoman Turks taking over Constantinople in 1453. The raping and the sacking that took place as a result. This is a rape invasion, and it's a direct response to the comeback of the divine feminine, the resurgence of the mother goddess divine principle. Who are these rapists, these hybrid sewer scum rapists going after? They're going after women. They're going after young girls, right? Right. And they've been turned loose. They've been turned loose. And it's uniform. It's happening in all these countries. So it's a concerted effort. So yeah, it's global. It's global. It's got nothing to do with their alleged creed or whatever the case may be. That's just a distraction. And if people think that, they can't see the forest for the trees. And if people are that confused about something that blatant today, how could they possibly understand what we've been talking about, the wars of gods and men, and how these gods, Enki and all these other gods, Marduk and whatnot, their male scribes, under the direction of the male gods, are writing this version of history, which always seems to favor the patriarchy, always seems to favor the male.
Yeah. So and that is suspect in itself, and how no one sees this. It's just mind-boggling. People don't see how one-sided this is. And speaking of that, I have a question about the Nephilim. Sure. And there's a quote in the Bible that says, and the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took to them what wives they chose, and they gave birth to children, right? Something like that, right? Do you know this quote?
They became